This girl has loved to fight ever since she was young. As she grew older, she made it a point to get revenge on anyone who wronged her. Anyone who had ever bullied her would eventually feel her wrath. At a banquet, a girl tried to frame her. Carrot didn't hesitate. She immediately walked up to the girl and punched her straight in the face, using her iron fist to defend the justice she believed in. Even when the prince she was once engaged to began showing affection for another girl, Carrot showed no mercy. But that wasn't all. The nobles who had mocked her just moments before, Carrot wasn't going to let any of them off the hook. With a flash, she put on her boxing gloves and charged toward the crowd, swinging her fists furiously, hitting anyone in her path. Carrot, the daughter of an esteemed count, had endured many humiliations in silence. For her father's sake, and for the sake of her family, she'd put up with countless insults from the prince she was supposed to marry. But today, at the banquet hosted by her fiancé, everything changed. In front of all the noble families, the second prince had publicly announced a new engagement with another woman. He even proposed to break off his engagement with Carrot, humiliating her in front of everyone. The banquet, it turned out, was nothing more than a setup to degrade her. The nobles, who seemed to know exactly what was happening, cheered and clapped, wishing the prince and his new fiancé happiness right in Carrot's face. But the prince didn't stop there. He declared that his engagement with Carrot had been the biggest mistake of his life, a stain on his otherwise perfect existence. Carrot, however, believed that her engagement had been arranged by the former royal family, and it couldn't just be undone. But to her surprise, the prince was calm, completely unbothered. He fabricated false charges against Carrot, accusing her of being jealous of the new woman, Naza, and claiming Carrot had done terrible things to Naza at school. The truth? Carrot and Naza had only just met that day. The fabricated accusations led to Carrot being ridiculed by all the nobles present. Knowing that no explanation would make a difference, Carrot asked the prince for one last favor before leaving. At first, he was reluctant, but Naza, eager to humiliate Carrot, pretended to agree. Carrot's last wish? To give Naza a beating she would never forget. Before anyone could react, Carrot rushed up and punched Naza square in the face. This punch had been 10 years in the making, and once it landed, Carrot felt an overwhelming sense of relief. The entire room fell silent. The prince angrily demanded to know what she thought she was doing, but Carrot's cold glare made everyone back off. But that wasn't the end of it. Carrot was furious with everyone there, especially the prince's relatives. She planned to take them all down as well. The nobles quickly shouted for the soldiers to restrain Carrot, but they had no idea just how strong she was. Before they could react, she began chanting an elven spell, and within moments, all the soldiers who entered the room had fallen asleep. Now, with the soldiers out of the way, Carrot began her full-on revenge. The nobles were in a panic. Some of them even offered to marry their daughters to anyone who could defeat Carrot, while others offered up their wives. Seeing Carrot in action, someone finally recalled her other nickname, the Mad Dog Heiress. After taking down all the nobles, Carrot finally stood before her former fiancé, the second prince. And from that moment on, Carrot began her journey of punching the jerk